Joe, what does he think of the Conor Coady situation? Does he see him getting back in the team? Does he think the deal will be made permanent? And does he think Branthwaite's performances on loan will have an impact on things?
Yeah,
so it's a three-pronged attack on you there, Joe.
There's a three-pronged attack on me, but really it's a seven-pronged attack because the centre-back situation at Everton is fascinating. Obviously, there's six recognised first-team centre-backs within that squad, and then the seventh one being Jared Branthwaite, as Terry rightly refers to there, who has done so well at PSV that he's starting to come into the reckoning a little bit. Now, obviously, Everton are going to have to make some big decisions on all this front. Now, a big factor will obviously be what league Everton end up playing in next season.
Course,
again, that still remains in doubt despite the good form. So that will colour things. But obviously, Yerry Mina out of contract. Yeah. So and then Yerry Mina out of contract. Say that, respond like that without words. Sorry. He hasn't been given a chance yet. He's the only centre-back of those six not to get minutes.
Are you surprised with that? Because for me, when he's on it, he's Everton's best defender.
For me, I thought if you're going to make the decision to break up Tarkowski and Coady partnership, and I'm not saying that was a nailed-on decision. I like them both, and I think they have shown they can do a good job at times this season. But once you're making a decision to break up that partnership, for me, Yerry Mina is the obvious next in line to come in. Like you say, when fully fit, I think he's the best centre-back. And I think that you can make the argument around, his injury issues. Is he going to have sustained running the team? Well, Everton in a scenario at the minute we need to get the best 11 players on the pitch. If Yerry Mina is one of them and he's currently fit, then I think you play him for as much as you can. In terms of longevity, it's a little bit ruthless, it's a little bit harsh, it's a little bit brutal, but if he breaks down again the end of the season, he's out of contract.
Exactly.
That's sad. We wish him all the best, of course we do. But if now is effectively the last chance to extract as much of the quality that we know he's got out of him, whilst his fitness is there. We know that it was an our conscious decision. I think Dyche broke up that partnership. He first, Keane came in for Arsenal away, and Dyche at the time said, "Well, 3 game week, trying to manage my players." That kind of made sense. Kept him in for Forest, and you could say, "All right, okay, maybe it's still a little bit the fitness thing and a little rotation." They've had a full week, and Keane started again at Brentford, so Keane is clearly his first choice. Keane has gone from Keane was 6th choice centre back under Lampard. If you look at what happened, they started the first game of the season with Mina, Godfrey, and Tarkowski, all 3 starting at centre back. 2 of them broke down. Didn't last a game, did they? No. So they brought in Holgate and then they brought in Coady on loan from Wolves. And they started. So I mean, he was clearly
gone, money.
He was gone essentially, and I think he probably would have been gone in early January if. The problem with Michael Keane, I think, for letting him go was the clubs that were interested, rather teams that were going to be in a relegation strap with, the likes of Forest, likes of West Ham, and the likes of Leeds. And I think there was some genuine interest from Serie A. But the problem with that is it's mid-table, lower echelons of Serie A, and the money that they've got just isn't quite for loan fees, for wages, isn't quite enough to tempt Everton just to part ways with him. So he's clearly first choice. Alongside Tarkowski now. Maybe it's not as much of a surprise as we should have expected. Obviously, he knows him from Burnley. We've seen him not reintegrate, but we've seen what he's done with Dwight McNeil. And I think Dyche likes to go with players he trusts, and it's clear that he trusts Michael Keane. I don't know what the route back in for Coady is now, because obviously, I think depending on what you think of Michael Keane, you can make an argument for both ways as to whether he's played well or not since he's come in. I think he's done a lot better than kind of thought he might do. And I think that he can be a good defender on his day, and we've seen some good elements of that. But he probably does have the odd mistake in him as well. In relation to whether they make the Coady deal permanent, they were going to under Lampard. It wasn't a question. About £4.5 million. They've got the option. It was just going to be a case of when not if. Now, obviously, it becomes a completely different kettle of fish, because if he's not first choice, well, when they sign him up, obviously it'll be more wages. We don't know what Everton's budget's going to look like in the summer, and obviously they've been boosted by the sales of the likes of Anthony Gordon, and you've got the Moise Keane money and things like that coming in, and the accounts will be looking stronger. and getting better, so they might have a little bit more money
we get to see them
to play with whenever we get to see them. So we have a little bit more money, but obviously, he will still have a scenario there where he'll have, whatever happens, he'll have Holgate, Godfrey, Keane and Tarkowski under contract, and Branthwaite coming back. 5 centre-backs is still a lot, even if Mina goes.
And Reece Welsh is
there as well. Obviously, just missed out on his loan to MK Dons, but I don't think he'd be competitive for first team next season. So really, I think Coady probably only stays if Dyche is comfortable. I think someone else probably has to go. They have to make plans and feel that they can get somebody else to go, because Everton don't have a lot of money to spend, and if Coady isn't first choice for him, then it'd be a shame. I like Coady a lot. I think he's a good player. I think again, like a lot of players who had difficult times at difficult moments this season, I think context is important. They're playing in bad sides and often had problems with full-backs either side and problems with the centre midfield in front of them, things like that. The fact that they score so few goals, every goal conceded does really matter. So I think it's harsh to be too critical of any centre-back. I say I like Coady. He's clearly a massive personality, a good person to have in the dressing room. But he's one thing I'd say to Terry is he definitely looks less likely to stay now than he did 8 weeks ago when Lampard was there, because then it was nailed on. Now it's clearly at the very least a question mark hanging over.
I totally agree with you, but I'm not convinced they'll keep him now for simply wages and stuff, and then it's like, it'll be dictated to what division Everton are in, obviously, but he's 30. If he's not first choice, there's no point shipping the money out on him, is there? See, Michael Keane would go as well for me in the summer. He's done alright, but even Saturday in the first 20 minutes Tony ran off him and he didn't have a clue where he was a couple of times, so he'd be gone as well for me. But I just don't think they'll spend that money now on Coady. I just think they'll look and go, well, we've got a whole, we've got that money, we can use it somewhere else.